disconnected.
The sun rises, we pray. Please watch over us. Mok Salisha.
Hey everyone, this is Alex with Unicorn Riot. We are here outside a nonviolent direct action. There is someone hanging on a tripod. They are probably about 25 or so feet in the air. The Aitkin County Sheriff's Department is out here. There's someone here to help the county get the person down. I'm not sure who they are exactly. There's 4 sheriff's vehicles here in addition to this work vehicle here to attempt to get the water protector down. This is the second blockade this morning. The first one is also still ongoing with the car flipped over with Danny and Big Wind locked into that. This one, in addition to that one, blocks about 12.5 miles of access road to Line 3 tar sands pipeline work sites here in Anishinaabe territory, also known as northern Minnesota. This area is also on state forest land, just like the other roadblock that we were just at is also right on state forest. We're gonna hopefully be able to talk to the person who's hanging through a walkie-talkie. Unfortunately, the law enforcement officers aren't letting us get any closer than where we are right now. We're across the road, maybe about 100 feet from the tripod. This is also a wetland on top of being a state forest. So again, this new tar sands crude oil pipeline that's intended to pump over 900,000 barrels of oil a day is going through over 800 wetlands, over 200 bodies of water, and will cross the Mississippi River twice. And on Sunday, we covered a treaty rights action that was located right where one of the crossings of the Mississippi is intended to be, where Enbridge will bore underneath the river once that river thaws. We're in Aitkin County right now. Where we were earlier this morning was St. Louis County. So this access road that stretches for miles and miles is in 2 different counties, and there are about 10 smaller access roads off of the main road, which go to different Line 3 work sites. What? Another vehicle approached. One of the 4 sheriff's deputies left earlier.
Press the button here.
All right, we're going to try to talk to the person hanging from the tripod. Hey, this is Alex with Unicorn Riot. If you want to share any information about why you are up there right now and how you're feeling up there.
Hey. Sure.
Sorry, and just try to talk as loud as you can.
Honestly, like, seeing the moon rise this morning,
Is there a way to increase the volume?
connecting to this land, spirits of this land, and all the little critters that this pipeline is going to go through their home, just really, like, yeah, connecting to those things. And I'm also up here because I think that we need to be brave, and it was scary and hard. And I cried a lot when a scary man tried to drive his car through here. But I think that, you know, that's part of this too. I was like, I will cry openly. It's scary and also just intense. It's intense to like sit with the street. The grief that I have for the land. Over.
So you said that someone, like one of the workers, tried to drive into you?
I'm not entirely sure it was a worker. It seemed like it was, and there was a few other trucks too. And yeah, he like started pulling down the caution tape on this side here, on the other side of where y'all are. And people had to like block him. He was like coming to intend to like cut the lines and was very aggro and you know, walked up to Daddy Hop and they told him he had to go. But that was scary, yeah.
And how does it feel? You might have said this before, but the volume wasn't too loud. How does it feel right now hanging from there and seeing the workers ready to try to extract you?
I honestly just miss my friends and wish it was my friends trying to talk to me and not cops. I don't trust them or feel safe with them, and I don't want them to touch me. But I will stand strong and stay here as long as I can.
And is there anything else you want to share about why you're up there?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that, you know, something I've been thinking about is being from here. And, you know, a lot of my family lives in northern Minnesota. And I grew up going fishing in the lakes and going camping. And it just feels like just really serious and deep cognitive dissonance that folks have to both
Awesome. Thank you so much for talking.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Bye.
So we just spoke with the person who is hanging from the tripod. They shared that they are from this area. They grew up fishing and spending time in the waterways here as well. And they were explaining how it seems like it's cognitive dissonance, how folks who are from here and who say they love the land and love fishing and love spending time in the land are also okay with a tar sands pipeline being built into the land. Another Aitkin County, I think it's a police officer showed up. There's a cherry picker vehicle here for the extraction process. There's at least 5 Aitkin County sheriffs. Then there's the cherry picker worker, and then another worker who pulled up in the white truck with the trailer attached. One of the sheriffs is gathering up some of the pieces of wood. So for folks just tuning in, we're in Anishinaabe territory in northern Minnesota here. This is a nonviolent direct action. An individual is hanging from a tripod on a major access road to Line 3 tar sands pipeline work sites. About 4 to 5 miles away down Loon Road, there's another road blockage where a car is tipped over and 2 individuals are locked down to that vehicle. So the intent of the water protectors today is to stop as much work as possible. This main access road and the roads that are off of this main road are total about 12.5 miles. So that amount of area is being stopped and blocked. So workers aren't able to get to quite a few of the work sites right now. The action started at about 6 this morning. So, and both are still ongoing. As far as I know, the car is still blockading the road further down. This one is to the east. This one is to the west, and the car blockade is to the west of here. To the east of here, sorry. Right now, they seem to be sawing a pole, a wooden pole. I believe that wooden pole was to help set up the tripod. I'm not sure. I don't believe it was attached to the tripod that's up right now. Maybe it was an extra pole, but either way, it is being sawed right now. The water protectors are here today to oppose the Line 3 tar sands pipeline that is being constructed. This pipeline is meant to pump tar sands from Alberta, Canada, all the way to Wisconsin near Lake Superior. And the pipeline has already been completed in North Dakota and Wisconsin. And Canada. And so the state of Minnesota is the last to be constructed. Yet people are still out here pushing for it not to be finished, because if it is finished, it will pump over 900,000 barrels of tar sands crude, crossing many waterways, the Mississippi River twice, many wetlands, including this one. This is a wetland. This is Head Bomb Forest Road. It's the Savannah State Forest. So this is a state forest right here. There's another state forest where the car blockade is about 4 or 5 miles away. The resistance to this oil pipeline has expressed many reasons for why they oppose it, and a few are the fact that a lot of this territory is treaty land, and so the Anishinaabe people have the right to hunt and fish and gather their medicines, including their wild rice, here in these areas. And it will be hard to do that if the land is polluted. So that's a conservation officer walking up right now. In addition to these being treaty territories, the pipeline itself will emit more carbon. The carbon footprint of this new tar sands pipeline will the section that goes through Minnesota will be in excess of the carbon footprint of this whole entire state of Minnesota. So that just shows how dirty tar sands crude oil is. There are still a few ongoing lawsuits also, and one of them involves an administration in Minnesota suing another part of Minnesota. So Minnesota is suing itself right now as part of one of the lawsuits against this pipeline. The sheriffs and the two workers who are here to help seem to all just be discussing what to do right now. The person hanging said earlier, soon after it was set up and they were hanging, someone in a truck got out of their vehicle and ripped down some caution tape. And I don't know if they actually did start driving toward, like, closer toward the tripod, or made it seem like they were going to. And so comrades of the person hanging had to block that person because it looked like they were going to try to drive through the tripod. The workers were tying some ropes around
the rope that's up on the pole, and that sheriff is actually standing on the rope.
So some ropes have been tied to the other ropes that were existing, and one of the sheriffs is standing on the end of the rope. The cherry picker is moving back closer to the tripod. They're pulling on the rope again.
Oh, you have to pull the rope down so the cherry picker can go back, because the rope was in the way of the road.
The rope was slightly in the way for the cherry picker to be able to get close enough, so that's why the sheriffs are pulling at it. But how the rope is set up is probably important for the poles to be secure and for the person hanging to be secure. So I'm not sure if they are equipped to be doing that, if they know what they're doing, but they're doing it anyway. The worker is climbing up into the cherry picker machine. Seems like they're still trying to figure out the best way to do this. Oh, all right. 2 sheriffs are climbing up into the cherry picker now. So it seems like they're going to be lifted up to speak directly to the person hanging. The sheriffs are now coming down from the cherry picker. Oh, a Mille Lacs County sheriff. 2 sheriffs from Mille Lacs County just showed up. The Mille Lacs tribe is one of the tribes that is currently opposing this pipeline, in addition to Red Lake and White Earth. The person hanging up in the tripod just locked into a lock box that is surrounding one of the poles. All right, sheriff is climbing back into the cherry picker now.
They're setting up there has never used that before.
The person
that's going up in it right now has never used that piece of, has never been up there before and never used the equipment.
But is the sheriff actually doing anything, or is it just the person?
No, he was the one that was up there just showing the person in the bucket.
Oh, but the worker itself maneuvering it has never done it before?
No, the person in the bucket has never used the equipment that he's up there with.
Oh, I see.
The deputy, right?
Yeah, the deputy.
Yeah. Is the Aiken County deputy there? Yeah.
So the cherry picker is rising up, and it's an Aiken County sheriff. And they are getting pretty close to the person hanging right now. The sheriff is touching the person, I think trying to figure out how they're attached into
Yep.
the tripod.
You're looking at the lock bolts.
They're touching the lockbox and other parts to try to Can you see what tool they're using?
He's not using this tool yet.
Oh. He reached down in the bucket to get something, but I couldn't tell
Yeah.
what it was.
It's on the seat too.
Apparently the sheriff's deputy who's in the cherry picker right now, this is their first time in one.
Just digging around with his hands so far.
He's digging around with his hands around the lockbox so far. The cherry picker is descending now. Another sheriff is probably going to be going up. One of the workers is outfitting him in a harness, it looks like.
Yeah, Sheriff or worker can't tell. Hard to tell.
It is hard to tell who's who from back here, but someone is getting outfitted to join the other sheriff's deputy. Yeah, it's another sheriff's deputy. So now there's a oh, wait, there might be. Let's see if they all go up. There's 3 sheriff's deputies in the cherry picker right now. It's 9 a.m. Central Time, so this action has been ongoing for 3 hours now. At least 3 hours now. Alright, it's apparently been kind of bad, but now it's decent, I guess. So I think it's just 2 sheriff's deputies are going up in the cherry picker right now.
One of them is blue jeans and his camouflage jacket, so I don't know for sure.
Well, when he climbed in, it looked like he had things on his... It looked like it, but... I mean, maybe not. I don't know. I guess we'll see. So there are 2 people in the cherry picker. One is definitely a sheriff's deputy. It's unclear if the second one's a sheriff's deputy or if it's a worker, not a pipeline worker, but a worker to help with this tripod situation. They both have their hands on the individual who's hanging. It's unclear what exactly they're doing. I think they're trying to figure out how the person's attached to the tripod. We're still up here in Anishinaabe territory, also known as northern Minnesota, where water protectors are blockading a main access road to different Line 3 tar sands construction sites. This main road, including its smaller off-roads, are in total are 12 and a half miles. So 12 and a half miles are currently blocked off from being able to have work done. There's we saw a line of work trucks lining up by the other blockade At this one, the sheriffs were telling the workers to turn around, so there were a bunch of workers driving up and then being told to turn back. About 5 miles from here, to the east, there's a car blockade, and the car is flipped over with 2 individuals locked to that. This fight against Enbridge's Line 3 pipeline has been ongoing for over 7 years. The Minnesota portion is the last portion left to be built. But as you can see, people are resilient in their efforts to try and stop it. The sheriff took the backpack off the individual and has that in custody right now. They must have cut the straps of the backpack to get it off. The cherry picker seems to be moving again.
He's gonna come this way, guys. I'm gonna have Dabby break away. We got a pot pull over. Thank you.
They seem to be doing something with ropes.
Trying to connect harness to
Seems like they're trying to connect a harness to the individual hanging.
trying.
So can you tell me what's happening in a second?
seems like they've lifted half of the person's seat onto the two seats of the cherry picker. They have the blue rope around them. It's going down to the middle all the way to the bottom. And they're tugging on the rope. They're trying to figure out how exactly to maneuver them off of here. I think. And then they are locked down. So let me try to get you here, Alex. Try to keep it steady. You can see. Can you see? One second. Let me get a shot of him. Okay.
That's a big battery.
So, half of the seat that the individual is sitting on up there in the tripod, the people in the cherry picker have lifted part of that up onto part of the buckets that they're in. They're lifting up the lockbox through one of the wooden poles. They're trying to lift that up. On
Both the feet just came over now.
both the feet are also in part of the cherry picker. So it seems like they might just try to lower the cherry picker while the individual is still locked on to the wooden pole. I think part of their clothing, maybe a scarf, just fell down. Or a blanket fell down. They are still attached by some rope also. So not sure exactly what their plan of action is.
They have them inside the cherry
The individual is inside
picker.
the cherry picker, but their feet are dangling out of one of the buckets.
Cutting one of the ropes.
One of the ropes is being cut that they were attached to. Cutting two more ropes. And I've been calling this a tripod. It's actually a bipod. But, I think the message got across. So they disconnected the seat that the individual was sitting on. They're dropping it to the ground. Again, the lockbox that the individual has around their arms, which is also wrapped around the pole. One of the poles is still attached, and they are lowering the cherry picker right now.
Normal. This is a little different because this is a leaning, so it's technically a little more sophisticated than the other ones. Tripods are pretty easy because they're balancing, and this one's tripod. This is leaning suspended by the ropes. So the backside ropes are simply for balance, is what you put in them on the backside. So it's technically a pretty good device.
The cherry picker is still slowly lowering while the individual's lockbox is still around one of the wooden poles.
Treated with respect as they are being taken down off the bipod.
Homeland Security Emergency Management. The safety process for the mobile field post extrication pods. That's what they call it.
Did you, so then they train you all here?
We have a team that's trained, yes.
And then do you have to go to outside sources, like contract sources, to do this, or do you all do it?
We do that internally. The sheriff's office has a team that's started it. Yeah, this is our team.
Okay, right. So even that, like, that little truck, that's you all, right? With the extraction devices and stuff, like the lock.
We lease
the
some
saws?
equipment, but yeah, this truck with all that's ours. Yeah.
Yep, okay.
We use it for floods and we use it for responding to all sorts of critical situations. If there was any other type of deal, we use it for that as well. It's not just for this.
Yeah, sure.
Bless you.
Thanks.
This team was trained almost 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2018.
Almost 2 years ago they trained them. There's teams all across the state of Minnesota.
The training's going.
I'm sure they'll still be picking up more people.
The cherry picker is still slowly descending. The lockbox is still attached to around the pole, one of the poles. One of the sheriff deputies behind us is confirming that him and his team here have been trained by the Northern Light Task Force, or they are a part of the Northern Light Task Force. He did say, though, that they were not trained how to extract specifically from tripods and bipods, and that is usually left for Homeland Security to be trained in that.
We couldn't leave roads up there all day. You know, if she wasn't in the road, we'd have had her. She was very safe up there, but you know, we fell through that before to let them drop a bucket of food in, there's people with food in it. We had a nurse inspect them and all sorts of things like that. It's all good.
We released at least one report a few years ago about the Northern Light Task Force. We uncovered information through records requests about the task force. They're working on the lockbox now. They're raising it a tiny bit up. The individual is still, their top half is inside the left bucket of the cherry picker. The bottom part of their legs and feet are hanging out of it. The lockbox is still wrapped around the left wooden pole. This was set up early this morning. The bipod has been up for at least 3 hours now. There's another blockade about 5 miles east where a car is turned over and 2 people, Danny and Big Wind, are locked onto that. The goal for the water protectors today is to halt as much work as possible in this area of northern Minnesota, which is Anishinaabe territory. This is treaty land, and it's about 12.5 miles of a main worksite road that has roads that come off of that main road. This is Loon. It's also 65, I believe. And so these two blockades have effectively stopped work, at least for much of the morning.
Seems like it might have went down. I don't have any signal. Maybe try to, if you can see, try to just look on one of the streams, Facebook.
So
or YouTube
just
or
wanted to check in here so people could stay updated. Looks like they almost have her down. And obviously you can see that we have a lot of sheriff here to support and protect Enbridge, support and protect the extraction of oil.
I don't know yet.
Don't hurt her!
I know it's just been choppy on and off, but it's up. So
For those that are tuning in,
we
we're
might want to
live
move over because
until Halts advance to the forest, working
having the
live
data so
extraction
close, it's probably
happening
not
right now.
good.
A water protector who walked down to stop
Should I turn it down
construction
now?
for the day.
Yeah.
Beautiful act of bravery, solidarity. So in that cherry picker there, they're now, looks like they're working on undoing the lockdown, and this is all really scary to watch somebody go through this, because this is
I'm gonna walk over here to get.
bracing.
We have you on camera! Think about that! Respect her safety! Don't do anything risky!
So the individual is still in the left bucket. They're trying to get the lockbox off. It's hard to tell exactly how that's happening. It's hard to tell what tools they're using. The lockbox is still around the left wooden pole. people who are here in support are yelling that they want to make sure the individual is safe and to not try to take the lockbox off or do anything that might endanger them. One of the Aiken Sheriff's deputies also mentioned how they've never seen a bipod in person, I guess, and how one of these is impressive, or I forget what word he used, but more impressive than a tripod. It's live. Sheriffs on the ground are doing stuff with ropes. I can't tell if the sheriff is untying a rope or tying a rope to the bottom of the right wooden pole.
They are blocking the road. Nobody's doing nothing about that.
The sheriff just threw a rope up to the person on the right side of the cherry picker. A worker who is trying to access the road is turning around. Earlier this morning, there were supporters out here, but they were forced to leave or risk arrest. So right now there's just a handful of folks still here. People here in direct support with any medic needs and just to keep watch. The person on the right side of the cherry picker is doing something with rope still. They are climbing up and they're tying a rope onto the left side, the left wooden pole where the lockbox is surrounding. So yeah, they're tying a bunch of... They seem to be doing like a pulley system through the left... that's attached to the left wooden pole. Ropes are being tied I think, to the individual still. I can't really tell. They're raising the cherry picker a little bit. Another worker is driving through. They're lowering the cherry picker. The individual's top half seems to be leaning pretty far out of the left side of the left bucket because of how they're lowering it at, and it's making them angle a certain way. Oh, the person's now out of the bucket. They're being lowered by a pulley system horizontally, while still with the lockbox around the pole. They're now on the ground. They're now all the way on the ground. And I think the cherry picker is lowering. The individual is now on the ground. The lockbox is still around the left wooden pole. There are at least 4 sheriff's deputies surrounding them, and then at least 1 worker. I believe, so all the ropes now that were attached to her are being cut off. The lockbox looks like it is not around the wooden pole anymore. So the individual is now, yes, is now being walked over.
Woo! Yeah! Love you! Love you!
Folks are saying that they love her and saying thank you.
Rose, are you okay?
She's being loaded into the white trailer that's attached to the white truck. They might be sawing the lockbox off of her in there so that no one can see what's happening. You can see it from here.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to walk.
It's fine. So her arm is, the lockbox is being placed on top of something outside of the trailer. I think a worker is looking inside it right now to figure out how to detach it. Again, this is a main access road to multiple Line 3 tar sands pipeline construction sites here in Anishinaabe territory in northern Minnesota. There's another blockade about 5 miles away to the east on the same road, blocking a total of about 12.5 miles of access roads to different work sites. The nonviolent direct actions today started at about 6 a.m. Central Time. Her helmet was taken off and is being taken into custody. They just put a mask on her.
Or allowed her to move it up or something.
Or allowed her to put it back on her face. Either way, they allowed her to have a mask on.
He's with us.
The sheriffs are blocking the view, so it's hard to see what's happening, but she's still over there, and I think they're still trying to figure out how to get the lockbox off of her arms. They're starting up a generator. Folks are yelling appreciation to her as the attempt to get the lockbox off continues. Another conservation officer arrived on the scene. The cherry picker is backing up, like backing away from the bipod. They're putting a black sheet over her somewhere. Yep, and the person in the blue vest is holding a saw. You can hear the noise of the saw. Or actually, there's a person in a gray sweatshirt to the right who's sawing right now. One of the sheriffs is helping, it looks like. The song is continuing. They're rummaging through a toolbox to find more tools. The person in the gray sweatshirt has a hammer. The lockbox is off. A scarf and some other items are being put into from her are being put into an Aiken sheriff's SUV. She seems to be inside the white trailer right now.
She's safe and fine.
The bipod is still up. No one's hanging from it, obviously, but the two poles are still up in the air. Or still standing, still erect.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
She is being loaded
You need anything?
into a sheriff SUV.
Are you okay?
She just said stop line 3. The sheriff putting her into the SUV is not wearing a mask. The bipod was just dropped to the ground.
She's got a cage between her and him. In the car. She's got a mask on too. So I actually put it on her, so.
What we know from CDC guidelines and other scientific evidence is that the mask that you're wearing protects your
Folks, I'm gonna back
your
up here
air,
in just a moment,
your
so if you don't mind
any
stepping back, I'm gonna-
like saliva and your germs from leaving your perimeter, but that does not really help anyone else's germs from getting to you. So that's why it's important for everyone to wear a mask. So when that sheriff's deputy wasn't wearing one while buckling her seatbelt, that was definitely not very safe. She is now loaded into a sheriff's SUV. The SUV is backing up. Again, this is Aiken County, so she'll be brought to an Aiken County jail. The bipod was dropped. It's still laying in the middle of the road. The cherry picker is still parked in the middle of the road also. It's 10 a.m. Central now, so for over 4 hours, this main access road has been blocked, at least from this way. I don't know if the access or if the entry point from the other side to the east, I don't know if that's still blocked or not, but this one was blocked for at least 4 hours. Nico, I'm gonna try to do an outro and then go down. So like. Thanks everyone for watching. This is Alex with Unicorn Riot. We're here in Anishinaabe territory, also known as northern Minnesota. The person who is hanging from this bipod has been finally taken down. The lockbox was taken off her arms. The bipod was then dropped to the ground. It's still in the middle of the road. With her hanging there in the middle of this main access point, road work was stopped for over 4 hours. There are off roads off of this road that lead to work sites. So including this blockade and the other one east from here with the car flipped over, those were able to block 12.5 miles of access road to Line 3 pipeline work sites. So water protectors today, that was their goal, to halt work and to express their desire to and need that Line 3 needs to end and not be fully constructed. Thanks for watching. We're going to head back to the other site and see if that's still ongoing. Yeah, you can check out all of our coverage of the resistance to Line 3. This fight's been happening for over 7 years now. We appreciate everyone who's been watching and sharing our coverage. If you feel like you can, we appreciate any donation amount. You can go to unicornriot.ninja and give any amount you feel you can give. We are a nonprofit, and the donations are also tax deductible. We're also horizontally run, so yeah, and you can also check out all of our coverage on unicornriot.ninja as well. Thank you, Nico, for filming, and Chris on the back end, and thanks to everyone watching.